I never thought I'd live long enough to see my own name carved in stone. But there it was, Emma Louise Carter. The date of birth was right. The date of death was wrong. I was very much alive. The October wind whispered through the cemetery, stirring the wilted roses that lay at the base of the headstone. My hands trembled as I reached down to touch the petals, fresh, still cool from the morning dew. Someone had been here. Then I saw it. A white card tucked beneath the bouquet, written in neat, familiar handwriting. Forever yours, Michael. My heart stopped. Michael was my husband, and Michael was supposed to be dead. For a moment, the world tilted. The distant church bells, the hum of traffic beyond the gates, the echo of my own breath, all of it blurred into a silent scream inside me. I glanced around, expecting maybe a cruel prank, but the cemetery was empty. Just rows of silent witnesses, names, dates, memories etched into cold marble. A memory flashed. The night of the accident. The rain, the headlights, the sound of shattering glass. They told me Michael died instantly. They told me I had barely survived. For years, I believed them. I mourned him. I buried him. And yet, here I was, standing at my own grave, with his handwriting on the card. Tears blurred my vision as I sank to my knees. My fingers brushed the damp soil, tracing the letters of my name. "I'm not dead," I whispered. "Who did this to me?" Then, in the distance, I heard footsteps, slow, deliberate, crunching over gravel. My pulse quickened. Someone was watching me. I rose to my feet, clutching the flowers like a weapon. The figure stopped a few meters away. A tall man in a dark coat, his face hidden beneath a hat. He didn't speak. He just stared. "Who are you?" I called out. He didn't answer. But as the wind shifted, the sunlight caught the edge of his jaw. A familiar scar. A familiar stillness in the way he stood. No, it couldn't be. My throat went dry. "Michael?" He turned slightly, and then walked away. My knees gave out, the flowers slipping from my grasp. The card fluttered down beside them, face up this time. Beneath Michael's name was something new, something written in smaller letters. "Forgive me." The night followed me home like a shadow I couldn't shake. Even after locking every door and closing every curtain, I still felt him, that man in the cemetery. That look. The same quiet intensity Michael used to have when something was eating away at him. I poured myself a glass of water, but my hands trembled too much to drink. The glass slipped, shattering across the kitchen floor. I stared at the pieces, thinking about how easily life could break, and still somehow keep its reflection. How did I end up with a grave and a life that weren't mine? It all started 7 years ago. Michael and I had been married for 38 years. He was an engineer, steady, patient, the kind of man who never raised his voice, even when the world fell apart. I was a nurse, always tending to everyone else's pain, ignoring my own. Then came that night, the storm, the crash, the hospital lights. When I woke up, they told me Michael was gone. They said the car exploded on impact. They said there was nothing left to bury except his wedding ring. But that wasn't the worst part. A week later, when I finally left the hospital, I learned something impossible. They told me I had died too. A bureaucratic error, they said. Confusion at the scene. My name was listed among the dead. My medical records, my insurance, even my nursing license, all erased. It took months to fix it, and still, everywhere I went, the world acted like I didn't exist. I remember standing at the DMP, showing my ID to the clerk, and she looked at me like she'd seen a ghost. "Ma'am, according to our system, you're deceased." I laughed then, but inside, I broke. So I did what most people only dream of doing. I disappeared. I left the old house, the city, the friends who whispered my name like a superstition. I moved 3 states away, changed my hair, started over. No one knew me as Emma Carter anymore. Until tonight. Now, someone has found me. Someone who knows about the grave. And about Michael. I picked up the phone to call the police, but my finger froze over the buttons. What would I say? "Hello, officer? My dead husband just left flowers on my grave?" They'd lock me up before they believed me. So instead, I opened the box I'd hidden in the closet. A small metal tin I hadn't touched in years. Inside were the pieces of my old life. A photograph of Michael and me on our wedding day, the hospital discharge papers, the newspaper clipping of the double fatal crash, and at the bottom, a letter I'd never opened. It was addressed to me, in Michael's handwriting. The date on it, 3 months ago. My breath caught, my fingers trembled as I broke the seal. The first line read, "Emma, if you're reading this, then I've done what I should have done years ago. I couldn't protect you then, but I can now. Please, don't come looking for me." The room spun. My heart pounded in my ears. He was alive, and he didn't want to be found. Sleep refused to come that night. Every time I closed my eyes, I saw Michael's handwriting, the loops, the slant, the quiet desperation behind each word. "Don't come looking for me." But how could I not? For 7 years, I built my life around the idea that he was gone. I learned to cook for one. I learned to live in silence. I even learned how to smile without meaning it. And now he was out there somewhere, alive, hiding, and leaving flowers on my grave. I couldn't let that go. By sunrise, I had already packed a small bag and printed directions to the cemetery's office. If anyone knew who had ordered the headstone or renewed the flowers, it would be them. The clerk, a young man with sleepy eyes and a coffee-stained shirt, scrolled through his screen. "Emma Carter, right?" "Yes," I said, my voice tighter than I wanted. He frowned. Strange, the grave was purchased 7 years ago by someone named Michael Carter. My stomach dropped. "That's impossible. My husband—" He interrupted. "He paid in cash, renewed it twice. Last payment was made 2 weeks ago." I stared at him, speechless. Michael wasn't just alive. He'd been here. Recently. The clerk hesitated, glancing at me. "Ma'am, I probably shouldn't show you this, but—" He turned the screen toward me. There it was, a grainy security photo from the gate camera. A man in a dark coat, face half hidden by a hat. The same man I'd seen the night before. "Can I get a copy of that?" I asked. He nodded slowly, printing it out. "Are you okay? You look pale." "I'm fine," I lied. Outside, the wind had picked up. I sat in my car, staring at the photo until my vision blurred. That scar on his jaw, it was Michael, no doubt. But then my eyes caught something else. A faint reflection in the photo's corner. A car, parked behind him. License plate barely visible. I zoomed in with my phone camera. The numbers were smudged, but not completely. DXF72. My heart pounded. That wasn't Michael's car. It was the same model, the same dark sedan that had hit us the night of the crash. Suddenly, everything twisted. The accident, the explosion, the confusion over the bodies. What if it wasn't an accident at all? What if someone had wanted us both dead, and Michael had survived long enough to fake my death to protect me? I started the engine and pulled onto the road, my mind racing faster than the wheels. I didn't know where I was going, but I knew what I was looking for. Answers. Michael's letter still burned in my pocket. His warning echoed in my mind. Don't come looking for me. But I was done being the woman who waited for truth to find her. This time, I was going to dig it up myself, even if it killed me again. By the next morning, the world felt sharper. Every sound, every shadow. I hadn't slept, but I didn't need to. The photo from the cemetery was all I could see behind my eyes. Michael was alive, and he was running from something, or someone. I drove to the old neighborhood, back to the place I swore I'd never return. The house where we'd built our life still stood. White porch, blue shutters, a swing that once held our laughter. But it looked older now, tired, like it had kept our secrets for too long. I didn't plan to go inside. I just wanted to feel close to something real. Then I saw it. The mailbox, still marked Carter. Out of habit, I opened it. Empty. Except for one thing. A small, rusted key wrapped in a folded napkin. I unfolded it carefully. Written in hurried ink. Room 12, Lakeview Motel. My breath caught. Lakeview was 2 hours away. A quiet place by the water. The kind of motel people used when they didn't want to be found. My hands shook as I gripped the steering wheel. "Michael," I whispered, "what are you trying to tell me?" The motel looked exactly how I imagined it. Peeling paint, flickering neon sign, the smell of cigarettes clinging to the air. The clerk barely looked up when I asked for room 12. "Long-term rental," he said. "Guy checked out 2 days ago. Paid cash." "Did he leave anything behind?" I asked. He shrugged. "We don't keep stuff that long. Check the trash if you want." Room 12 was stale with silence. The bed was made, the window curtains drawn, but the air felt thick, like someone had been here recently. Then I saw it. A note, slipped between the bed frame and the wall. My name on the front. I tore it open. "If you found this, it means I failed to keep you safe. Don't trust anyone who asks about the crash, especially not the police. They're watching you again. M." My stomach turned cold. Again? I sat on the bed, my mind spinning. Who would watch me now, after 7 years? Who even remembered that night? Then, a sound. Outside. A car door shut. Footsteps. Slow. Purposeful. I moved to the window, peeking through the curtains. A black sedan. The same one from the photo. My heart pounded so loud I thought they could hear it. A man stepped out. Not Michael. Someone younger. Sunglasses, earpiece. He scanned the motel row, checking doors, slow and calm, like he'd done it before. I grabbed my bag, the note, the key, and slipped out the bathroom window. The cold air slapped me awake as my feet hit the gravel. I didn't look back. I just ran. Toward the woods behind the motel, my lungs burning, heart hammering. I didn't stop until I reached the lake. The reflection on the water stared back at me. The same woman who'd buried her past and been buried by it. Only now, I wasn't running from ghosts. I was running from the living. The lake was quiet, almost too quiet. The early morning mist curled over the water, hiding everything in a ghostly shroud. I leaned against a tree, clutching Michael's note, my mind racing faster than my pulse. He was alive, and someone powerful had wanted both of us gone. The motel keys still burned in my pocket. Room 12 had held a clue, but I needed more. I couldn't chase shadows forever, not without proof. By nightfall, I found myself in a small, dimly lit archive in the neighboring town. Michael's name came up in a series of corporate filings, insurance papers, and accident reports, all stamped and altered. It was meticulous, precise, and all pointing to one thing. Someone wanted him dead, and they had nearly succeeded. I flipped through a thick folder labeled Confidential Carter Accident. Inside were photos, reports, and most chilling of all, a handwritten note in a familiar hand. Not Michael's this time. Someone else. Carter must be removed. Any collateral is acceptable. Ensure the body count aligns with the story. My hands shook. My stomach turned. My life had been written into a script by strangers who didn't care if I survived. Then I saw it, a small envelope taped to the back of the folder. Inside, a single flash drive. I rushed home, locked the doors, and inserted it into my laptop. Video footage. Security camera angles from the night of the crash. The storm, the headlights, the explosion. And then a second car, the dark sedan, pulling away before the crash. Michael's face appeared, alive, scared, ducking behind the wheel. Someone else, faceless, cloaked by shadows, had caused the collision. I leaned back, my chest tight, tears blurring my vision. 7 years of grief, 7 years of believing I was alone. And all along, Michael had survived, hiding, protecting me, waiting for the right time to reveal the truth. My phone buzzed, a message from an unknown number. Stop digging for your own good. I knew then I was being watched again. But this time, I didn't care. I had a choice, keep running or fight. And I was done running. The night air was thick with anticipation as I drove toward the outskirts of the city, clutching the flash drive like a lifeline. The coordinates Michael had left in his letter led me to an abandoned warehouse. Not a place for lovers, but a place for truths. The door creaked as I pushed it open. Shadows stretched across the concrete floor. And there he was, Michael, standing in the dim light, older, grayer at the temples, but unmistakably him. His eyes widened, and for a heartbeat, I thought he might vanish like a dream. "Emma," his voice trembled, just slightly. I didn't speak. I just stepped forward. The years of pain, fear, and loneliness compressed into a single moment, and I felt it all at once: relief, anger, and a deep, aching love. He closed the distance slowly, as if afraid to break the fragile thread between us. "I never stopped trying to protect you," he said. "You left me," I whispered, the words raw, trembling. 7 years. You let me think you were dead." "I had no choice," he said, his voice low, urgent. "They were everywhere. If anyone knew I was alive, they'd come for both of us. I thought keeping you away was the only way to save you." Tears blurred my vision. "You lied to me." "Yes," he admitted, "and I'm sorry. But every decision I made, every secret I kept, it was for you." I stared at him, struggling to breathe. The man I had loved for decades, and the man who had haunted my nightmares, was standing in front of me, real, alive, and still mine. "I don't know if I can forgive you," I said. "Not yet." "You don't have to," he replied softly. "I just need you to know the truth." We sat together on the cold concrete floor, the warehouse silent except for our breathing. He showed me the files, the footage, and explained everything. The accident wasn't an accident, the people behind it, and how he had survived by hiding in the shadows, leaving traces only for me to follow when the time was right. And as I listened, the years of fear and grief slowly unraveled. The anger remained, yes, but so did the love. The love that had survived betrayal, near death, and years of separation. Finally, I reached for his hand. He hesitated, then allowed me. Our fingers intertwined, bridging the gap that 7 years had carved between us. "I don't know what comes next," I said. "Whatever it is," he replied, We face it together. For the first time in a long time, I believed it. The night felt alive, as if the darkness itself was watching. Michael and I drove in silence through winding back roads, away from the city lights. The flash drive sat between us, a heavy reminder of the danger that still lingered. "I don't understand," I said, my voice low. "Why would anyone want to hurt us now, after all these years?" Michael's jaw tightened. Because some people never forget a mistake. They want power, money, control, and they couldn't risk me exposing the truth. I glanced at him, searching his face for reassurance. "So what do we do?" "We fight," he said, voice firm. "We gather evidence, expose them. But we have to be careful. They're watching every move we make." And I felt it then, the subtle presence behind the trees, the distant hum of an engine that didn't belong. Later, parked at a safe distance, we watched the building where I had once thought I'd been safe. Shadows moved, figures entered and left, always watching, always waiting. I clenched Michael's hand. "I'm scared." "I know," he whispered, "but you're not alone. Not anymore." The plan was simple but dangerous. We had to trace the dark sedan, identify who was orchestrating everything, and gather undeniable proof. Every moment we hesitated increased the risk, not just for us, but for anyone who dared to help. We split tasks. Michael would track financial and corporate trails, while I focused on surveillance, following patterns, noticing anomalies others would miss. And in that darkness, crouched behind a cluster of bushes, I realized something profound. I wasn't the same woman who had run from life 7 years ago. I had survived more than anyone could imagine. I was stronger, smarter, and ready. Then the car headlights swept across the road. I froze. "Stay low," Michael hissed. I watched as the vehicle slowed, turned, and disappeared. My heart raced. They were close, too close. But fear no longer controlled me. Determination did. If they wanted a fight, they had one, and we weren't going to back down. The shadows were closing in, but so were we. By the time dawn broke, the city was stirring, but Michael and I felt like we were already in another world, one of shadows and secrets. Every phone call, every unexpected knock at the door reminded us that someone was always watching. We followed the trail from the flash drive to a nondescript office building downtown. It belonged to a powerful insurance company, the same organization whose negligence had caused the accident years ago. Michael whispered, "This is where it started, and where it ends." Inside, we moved carefully, avoiding security cameras, tracing documents, emails, anything that tied the executives to the crash. The deeper we dug, the clearer the conspiracy became. Corruption, falsified reports, bribes, all designed to erase Michael and silence me. Then the trap snapped. A door clicked behind us. The lights flickered on. 3 men in dark suits stood in the doorway, blocking our escape. "Michael Carter," one of them said, his voice cold, "and Emma Louise Carter. You shouldn't have come here." I felt Michael tense beside me. My first instinct was fear, but it melted quickly into defiance. "You lied about my husband's death," I said, stepping forward. "You lied about me being dead. And now I know everything." The men didn't flinch. One of them smiled. "You don't know everything yet. You're still alive only because we allow it." Michael moved slightly in front of me. "If you harm her, you'll answer to me." A tense silence filled the room. Then, as if on cue, alarms began to blare outside. Michael had hacked their system moments before, triggering a distraction. In the chaos, we ran, documents in hand, and escaped into the city streets. Our hearts pounded, adrenaline surging, but we were alive. We didn't speak much on the way back to our safe house. Words were unnecessary. Our hands found each other's naturally, fingers entwined, a silent promise. We'd face this together, no matter the cost. That night, I realized something crucial. Surviving the past 7 years, uncovering the truth, and standing here beside Michael, it wasn't just about revenge. It was about reclaiming our lives, our love, and our future. And for the first time in a long time, I felt hope. The documents we had risked everything to steal were finally laid out before us. Michael and I sat together at the small table in our safe house, the glow of a single lamp casting shadows on the walls. The files revealed the horrifying truth. The accident had been orchestrated by a coalition of corporate executives, insurance agents, and a few corrupt officials. Their goal had been simple: eliminate Michael and anyone who could expose their fraudulent schemes. I stared at the evidence, my hands trembling. All these years, they wanted us dead? Michael nodded, his jaw tight. Yes, and they almost succeeded. But I survived, I hid, and now we have the proof to take them down. We contacted a trusted journalist, someone who had exposed corporate corruption before. Every document, every video clip, every email we had collected was sent securely. Within hours, a story broke nationwide. The Carter accident was a planned murder attempt covered up by powerful figures. The fallout was immediate. Investigations began, resignations followed, and arrests were made. The people who had tried to erase our lives were now facing justice. I sat back, letting the weight of the past lift slightly. For the first time, I felt the bitterness and fear of 7 long years begin to dissipate. Michael reached across the table, taking my hand. "We did it," he said softly. "We survived. Together." I looked into his eyes, seeing the man I had loved all those years, the man who had risked everything to protect me. "We survived," I echoed, a tear sliding down my cheek. And in that moment, I realized, surviving isn't just about staying alive. It's about reclaiming your story, your dignity, and your life, even when the world has tried to write it for you. We had been buried by lies, but we had risen, stronger, wiser, and united. The sun rose over the city, painting the skyline in soft gold. For the first time in years, I felt a calm that wasn't tinged with fear or anger. Michael and I sat on the porch of our small, new home, a place we had chosen together, far from shadows, far from lies. I watched him sip his coffee, the lines of age softened by relief and quiet joy. "Do you ever think about how close we came to losing everything?" I asked, voice barely above a whisper. "All the time," he replied. "But surviving it together, that's what matters now." I leaned my head on his shoulder. The past 7 years of grief, the fear, the running, the secrets, it all felt like a shadow that finally lifted. I had learned that life could take everything from you and still give you more if you had the courage to fight for it. Michael smiled down at me. "So, what now?" I closed my eyes, letting the warmth of the morning seep into my bones. Now we live, really live. No more running, no more hiding, just us. We spent the day unpacking boxes, laughing over small things, sharing memories of the years we thought we'd lost. And for the first time, I didn't feel the weight of the grave behind me. I didn't feel the shadow of betrayal or fear. We had been buried by lies, almost erased from the world. But we had risen, not just alive, but stronger, wiser, and unbroken. That night, as I looked at Michael sleeping peacefully beside me, I whispered a quiet promise to myself. I survived, I loved, I forgave, and I will never let fear take me again. Outside, the wind carried the gentle rustle of leaves, the sound of a life rebuilt, and I knew, finally, that this was only the beginning. We were alive, and our story, our real story, had just begun.